Welcome back to the Great Experience by John Bat 426 here in YouTube, and this is the recap with what? Oh, this is the recap with no cap. You've clicked on the thumbnail, you know what it's about. Daredevil Born Again, Episode 1. See how I'm pretending like I'm Matt Murdock? I got the shades on. I'm not really sure where anything is. Because Daredevil's blind. And he's also a lawyer by day. That's still blind. And of course, there's a lot of pressure, I would say, on this series because of how well received the Daredevil series was on Netflix prior to Disney Plus even becoming a thing. Netflix was the place to go for Marvel live action series. You had Daredevil, 3 seasons worth, Punisher, 2 seasons worth, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and The Defenders. Okay? If there was another one, I'm not sure what it was. You can leave a comment or a dissertation to let me know. All right? But Daredevil was very well received. We start off Born Again with, I don't know what it's called, but it faded from black and it opened vertically, like the aspect ratio. And there's a shot to let you know that this is the same Hell's Kitchen. There's a shot of a large apartment building or a high rise, I don't remember. And the music is playing and it's kind of somber. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, why are we opening with this? And then it immediately transitions to a bar where Foggy, Karen, and Matt are, along with 2 other newcomers that are detectives. And I'm like, wait a minute. That was a weird transition. Let me just say this off the bat. The musical choices in this first episode were garbage. For some reason, there's also this country music song that Matt Murdock is listening to later on in the episode. I'm like, who selected this music? Somebody deaf? But yeah, the musical selections were garbage. And again, this is the recap with no cap. I don't really go in any kind of linear order. I kind of just jump all over the place. But it starts off with all 3 of them, who we know from the original series. Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, Deborah Ann Woll as Karen, and Eldon Henson as Foggy Nelson. Okay? And I'm thinking, somebody's going to die. It's like the opening that I referred to again, because it started off somber, then it kind of went a little cheerful, and people are in the bar like, ha, 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 talking about stuff. It's all lighthearted. I'm like, somebody's dead. No sooner than I say that, Foggy is shot coming out of the bar. I mean, no sooner. And then 2 other cops. Now, he came out with Karen. 2 other cops, I think, came out of the bar. They died immediately, too. I'm like, wait, 3 people got shot. I said, but Karen is conveniently fine. So the assassin decided to kill everybody but her. And the assassin, they let you know right out the gate that it's bullseye. He had gloves with a bullseye symbol on it. His scope, the little, like a reticle. I played Call of Duty, but I don't really know what it's called. That you kind of aim down, had a bullseye symbol. I'm like, show, we get it. It's bullseye, okay? So after he kills all these people, he walks up. I think did he have a gun or a staple? I couldn't tell because bullseye can kill you with just about anything. Pardon that. So he walks up to Karen, like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you, and I'm thinking, you could have just killed her immediately as soon as you killed Foggy. But anyway, maybe I was thinking too much. So now, of course, Matt hears all these things transpire, and that's where he and Bullseye have that fight. It's a little, the choreography is a little strange. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's strange because when he's walking through the bar, Bullseye, he's just randomly killing people, picking up things and murking them. This one lady picks up a pool stick, hits him in the back of his head. He has no reaction to it. A pool stick. She breaks it over the back of his head. She might have been a police officer. She might have been law enforcement. Then he picked up a pool ball and just like he made it look so nonchalant. It's like then she just died. I'm like, wait a minute, is he trying to get away from Daredevil? I think he's walking. I'm like, this is the slowest getaway ever. So that's when he and Daredevil engage in that stairwell fight where it's like he made Daredevil look like a porcupine. He was throwing so many blades into him. And they're doing a bunch of heavy breathing as if it was 2 consensual adults, and I won't go any further on that one. They're fighting up a staircase. Bullseye is still moving slow. I said, what? What? And then, now the whole time, Daredevil, since he has superhuman senses and acute hearing, he can hear what's going on with Karen and Foggy, who are still downstairs in the front of the bar. So she's like, come on, Foggy, please. And while Daredevil was fighting Bullseye, you can see, like, at first it looked like Charlie Cox was laughing. But I was like, okay, no, he's crying while he's fighting Bullseye. So then he can hear Foggy's heartbeat, and his heartbeat stops. Karen starts crying. Then I just didn't like the way this first sequence was shot. It's like him and Bullseye were like face to face. His forehead is like on his chin. I'm like, this. I don't like that. It's just way too close to a deadly assassin. He's like, I'm like, are they gonna kiss? Like, what is going on? Like, who decided to shoot this like this? So then when Daredevil realizes that Foggy's dead, he just takes Bullseye and just throws him off the front of the building. Bullseye does not land on his feet, so he didn't break a leg. He splats probably 3 or 4 stories up. But he survived because the plot needed him to survive. Okay. So then there's sentencing. I think it was a year after Foggy was killed. So immediately I'm like, wait a minute. So you brought back Foggy and Karen just to kill them off in the first episode? Like, I realize it's important for Disney Plus to establish it as its own thing, which I can appreciate. But did you really have to make it that dramatic? Like, you had to kill Eldon? You brought Eldon Henson back just to kill him. And then Karen apparently moved to San Francisco. She moved to the other side of the country, left her blind friend, Matt Murdock in Hell's Kitchen. He's dealing with Foggy's death. He's reeling from it. She said he didn't text her in 6 weeks. They basically drift apart after, like, I mean, there are a trio. Excuse me, wrong word. They're a trio. One of them dies, so they both handle the death by just splitting and isolating themselves from another. I'm like, then they have an immediate fight. Not like a fist fight, of course, but like an immediate spat. She don't even want to sit down next to this guy. And I'm going to say it felt like manufactured tension. It did. It felt manufactured. I'm like, oh, so they're just arguing right away. And as much as I love the Daredevil series, and I'm glad they brought Eldon Henson and Deborah Ann Woll back, but maybe it's the time period from when Daredevil season 3 ended on Netflix to Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. I felt nothing when Foggy died. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, had this happened in the Daredevil series on Netflix, I definitely would have felt it. But to just bring him back and kill him off, I'm like, you might as well not even brought him back. I think it would have been better executed if he and Karen would have been around for 2 or 3 episodes, and then you kill him. Like, you sort of like build up the emotional like equity between Karen, and Matt, and you bring like a fever pitch. Then you kill him. So then it's like, it felt like somebody ripped your heart out of your chest when he's dead. But I felt nothing. So Karen goes her own way. She goes back to San Francisco. She really don't even want to talk to Matt. So then Matt is a part of, I don't remember the name. I think it said Murdoch and McDuffie. Did it say Murdoch and McDuffie? I don't remember. But he is now part of a law firm with an attorney that was trying to get Foggy Nelson. That was a friend of Foggy Nelson's earlier in the bar. Okay. So I believe a year has passed. Okay. So now we see that Vanessa Fisk, the wife of the Kingpin. I did not watch the Echo series, so whatever happened in that show, I don't know. So she's now running the Kingpin's empire. So in this meeting place, there's tension between the people at the table. As soon as the shutters go up and the Kingpin walks in the frame, everybody starts behaving around the table, and everybody just slowly and quietly gets up and leaves. So the Kingpin still has that gravitas, even though Vanessa's running the show. But we really know who's running everything. The Kingpin, obviously. So, just in case anybody is unfamiliar, Wilson Fisk is just madly in love with Vanessa in the comic books. So the fact that he came back, if you'll have me back, I'm like, maybe some people will say, oh, they're just making him a cuck because of SJW. That's how the Kingpin is. The Kingpin retired from a life of crime because Vanessa said, if you kill Spider-Man, Kingpin beat Spider-Man in a hand-to-hand combat, in a hand-to-hand fight. I have the comic book issue. The cover is right here. I have this. He beat Spider-Man in a one-on-one fight. So the fact that the Kingpin lost to Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series, garbage. So remember, he had Spider-Man dead to rights. And he said, I will not kill Spider-Man because I want to retire and live with Vanessa forever. So The love he has for Vanessa is you can't even speak on it. All right, so don't think it's a current trend. We're leaning more towards females. We're empowering them in our series. That's how the Kingpin loves Vanessa. So this is perfectly in line with who the character is. So the Kingpin says he has the 25,000 signatures, for what's that thing called? A petition, so he can run for mayor of New York City. So he says, that's my goal. I'm going to run New York. You can keep doing what you're doing. All right. So then we see that Daredevil he retired. He retired from being a vigilante because Foggy was killed. And to me, this didn't make him a hero at all. I'm like, wait a minute. So you put your own personal needs ahead of the needs of Hell's Kitchen? That's not heroic. It's human. Don't get me wrong. It's human. But, and I'm on my high horse when I say this. You are not a superhero if your personal needs supersedes those around you. You're not a superhero. No, you're not. Being a superhero, summa, okay, I think that's Latin. That means you're above just what a baseline hero would do. You're a superhero. So you're more than a hero. So he gave up the mask. He gave up being a vigilante. There's a shot from the trailer where you see the mask sort of falling onto the street. That's after Foggy died. He said, all right, I'm done. Or whatever, basically. He said a line was crossed. Okay. Now, later on in the episode, we see that Wilson Fisk is moving forward in the poll. Somebody named Kresna, and I forgot the other person that was running for mayor of New York. But the Kingpin is really gaining a lot of steam. There's a lot of parallels between Wilson Fisk and Donald Trump. You can tell, even though Wilson Fisk he was on the blue folder. So in other words, on the TV screen, that means he's a Democrat, and the other people were red, so they were Republicans. So I like the way they switched that up, or whatever. But people have like hats that sort of remind you of MAGA. It said "Fisk can fix it," which is a trash slogan, by the way. But anyway, it's not about the slogan. So Matt Murdock meets, and I'm skipping some stuff, all right? Matt Murdock meets Wilson Fisk at a diner. Probably, maybe the best part of the first episode. And this harkens back to the original trailer, all right, where the Kingpin is too big for the booth, really, but they're still talking. He's like, it isn't totally unpleasant seeing you again. And, nothing really new came out of this, okay? But it's a good scene. The issue I have is that they were at a diner sitting by the window. Now, if you are a politician in New York City and you look like the Kingpin and you have a past, a history as sordid as he is, you can't sit by the window of a diner. There can't be other patrons in that diner and you not be recorded on a phone. Impossible. I felt like their entire conversation would have been recorded by somebody else on a phone. They could have been doing it subtly, doing one of these, acting like they were talking on the phone. But there are no eyes on Matt and Wilson Fisk, which was not realistic. I'm sorry, it's not realistic. Like one guy came up to the window, was like, do, yeah, and all that stuff. So then Kingpin tells Daredevil, I don't remember the quote, which annoys me because I was just saying it. I just saw the episode last night, and I really like the way he said, bringing like basically the weight of the law down on people running around in silly costumes. So I said, oh my God, that was expertly done. He's basically telling Daredevil, well, Matt Murdock, you want to be Daredevil again? You're going up against me in a legitimate fashion rather than an illegitimate fashion. So basically, he throws that warning out, okay? And by the end of the episode, okay, you kind of see it going in this direction. At the end of the episode, the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, becomes the mayor of New York City. I love the execution of this first episode. I believe it sets a tone that's very positive because now I want to see the end of the series. Okay, I want to see from 1 to 8 or however many episodes there are. This first episode did what it was supposed to do. Does it have flaws? I believe it does, but maybe they're just flaws to me because I don't like them personally. But that doesn't mean it's a flaw universally. You know what I mean? It's not like the editing was off or the audio editing. You say like, "Come here." Like, and then you hear the words "come here" when he already said it or mouthed it. Nothing terribly flawed like that. But I felt like the choreography in the fight with Bullseye was a little messy. The fact that he's talking to the Kingpin in a diner in public and nobody's recording the conversation or studying what they're saying one to another is very unrealistic for these days and times. I felt like there was manufactured tension between Karen and Matt, which I alluded to earlier. I felt like Foggy Nelson was killed off too early. All right. But overall, B. This was a solid first episode, and I believe it does set the tone. It's mostly dialogue driven. Okay, not a whole bunch of action in it, which it didn't need. But episode 1 of Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus gets a B from The Great Expanse by John Bat 426. Comment below, okay? Leave a dissertation if necessary. And this is the recap with no cap. John Bat, I'll holler at you on Daredevil episode 2.